It's all on the table. 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 We ain't gonna walk around it. Oh no. We gon' talk about it. Let's go. We ain't gonna walk around it. Oh no. We ain't gonna talk about it. Let's go. It's all on the table. 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 It's RAWASAS and he gon' bring it like a DoorDash. Every Thursday at noon, it's about to be a blast. We put it all on the table like a smorgasbord. And it don't matter the subject, it can be explored. Yeah, it's Philly's on and he going strong. Don't bring the kids cause we talking grown. Bring your opinion, don't matter if it's right or it's wrong. We preaching the topic, it's on. It's all on the table. 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 We ain't gonna walk around it. Oh no. We gon' talk about it. Let's go. We ain't gon' walk around it. Oh no. We ain't gon' talk about it. Let's go. It's all on the table. 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 It's all on the table.
What's motherfucking poppin', good people? What's motherfucking poppin', good people? Y'all know the vibes, y'all know the waves. All on the Table podcast. We are back. And y'all already know, every now and then I like to bring y'all some actual informative type shit. We talk a lot of shit on this podcast, but every now and then I like to bring some stuff where it's going to help you if you listening. If you don't listen, and that's kind of up to you. I can't do nothing about that part. But at least I can say I tried, God damn it. I said I tried. So today I got for y'all somebody that I heard, I was listening to a radio show and I heard him speaking about some shit. And I'm like, wow, you know what? Maybe I know some people that could benefit from hearing this type of shit. So I'm gonna let this man introduce himself and let y'all know what he do. Talk to the people. Talk to the people.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me on here. My name is Jake. I go by Big Mak Muzik. That's how I got started as a producer, DJ, a bunch of different things, but mainly, and why I'm here is audio engineering and engineering mainly hip hop and rap. So that's my, bread and butter. I'm a recording mixing engineer. I've been doing it for a little over 12 years now. Been on Sway in the Morning now for about a month. Just coming in, kind of giving them, some insight here and there, just from perspective of an audio engineer, that's pretty much it for me.
What's the difference in an audio engineer and a producer?
That's a great question. So I'm especially nowadays that line is blurred a hell of a lot more.
Very, very blurred.
Yeah. So more often than not, and including myself, people are doing you're wearing every hat basically. So, most people are going to start out, you're probably doing it all yourself, which is one of the first things they tell you not to do also, because when you got your hands in every pot, something's going to go wrong, or it's best to kind of get your hands off things at a certain point. Jack of all trades, master of none, that type thing. Where, so basically difference between the two though, just to get down to it, is the producer is the person that's actually crafting the track, putting it together, putting all the pieces together in terms of the beat, instruments, vocalists. If it's, typically with rap, hip hop, the producer is your beat maker, the person who you're getting the beat from, whether it's someone someone on BeatStars or YouTube, whatever it may be. The person that's actually making the beat is your producer. The person that's recording you on that beat and then taking those vocals and mixing them into the beat, that's your engineer.
Okay.
So
those
are your, those are the person that's, like I said, making the beat, producer, taking it, making everything sound good. Once you got it all the pieces there, that's your engineer.
I hear a lot of artists now all say the same thing. I'm gonna do it all myself. I'm gonna save the money. I'm gonna make the beat. I'm gonna write the verse. I'm gonna mix the song. I'm gonna master the song. And people don't realize mixing and mastering is two different things.
That's true.
For a lot of y'all. How do you feel about people doing that? Do you think that's a good idea? You think it's a bad idea? Is that one of those situations where if you've been doing it long enough, you might could do it? Like, how you feel about that?
I think if it's I think everyone could do it at some point. I will say that because I think it's a good or great thing for you to at least know firsthand how every part of the process works. So it's not a bad thing to be able to know those things and have gone through them because you have a better understanding there. But ultimately, the best product or not products, best end products, your final song, whatever you're going to be putting out to the people, more often than not, are a combination of a lot of different people's hard work. At the end of the day, it's hard to be the best at everything, virtually impossible. You're probably going to have one thing that you're really damn good at. So do that thing and let the other people that are good at what they do fill in the gap. So it's good to get that understanding, but at the end of the day, you're better off sticking to what you're best at. And if that's making beats, be the producer. If it's rapping, be the artist. If it's mixing, be the engineer. But, like I said, use those other people to fill in the gaps of what you're not best at. So you can focus on what your thing is, what you're there for, your talent, what you add to the puzzle.
Okay. About a month or so ago, I had a conversation with somebody, and she teaches at Full Sail University.
Yep.
She also raps, she produces, she engineers, she does all of this. But she explained to me that even though she can do all of this, she never does everything alone because she said a lot of times when you doing a song, like I used to rap myself. Every now and then I still get in the booth. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that never goes away. You miss it at some point. But
Exactly.
I'm one of those people where I do a verse, I want to walk away from it and then hear it like 2 days later so I can see where I
Yep.
fucked up at and shit like that. I think a lot of people don't understand when you doing everything yourself, all those imperfections, you can't hear them anymore.
Oh yeah. Oh, you lose all perspective. That's exactly it. Is that if you're doing everything, you're losing. You can't see the forest through the trees. Basically, you can't. You're just so deep in it that you're losing sight of what you're listening to it over and over again. You forget why you even liked it in the first place. You're tearing it to shreds probably overthinking things or underthinking things that somebody else takes one listen to and hears and like, well, why'd you do that? Something that you've been overlooking, whatever it may be. It's like they were saying, it really comes down to keeping a fresh perspective on whatever you're working on, or whether that's taking a break from it or having someone else give their perspective. But it's to keep it all in your own head. You just, you're torturing yourself with that.
No, seriously. So I rate a lot of music. A lot of times people send me music. Hey man, tell me what you think. What do you hear? And one thing a lot of people always get upset with me about is I'll tell them, yo, that mix is trash. And they're like, man, I worked on this shit for a long time. And I'm like, yeah, that could be the problem right there. You worked on it. Like you made the verse, you made the beat, then you did the verses. You can't hear all the extra shit behind it because you've been listening since you made the beat.
Exactly.
So everything is good now, but then now you sit it to somebody else in a whole new set of speakers that ain't yours.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, that's another. Translation's a big thing, depending on what they're mixing on. And also what they're listening to. That also makes a big difference too. What are you comparing it to a lot of the time? Are you just got a bunch of shitty MP3s that you're playing it against that are not mixed well to begin with? Then yeah, yours sounds great compared to that, but you're comparing it to something that didn't sound good in the first place. And so yeah, so it's just exactly, you hear it right away where they've sat with it for too long, or they've pushed it in ways that it didn't need to go, and they probably should have taken their hands off of it months ago.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
A song is never finished. No one's ever gonna tell you. There's no green light that comes on. There's no big check mark that like the song's done. It don't work that way. You have to make that decision when it's done.
I think part of that problem is you just said you've been listening to it since months ago. And a lot of people don't do months ago, they do days ago. So they
Right.
think, I made the beat today, I did the verse today, I mixed it tomorrow, the song is finished, and never come back to it. Then they
Yep.
send it to somebody else 2 months after that and they get picked apart and they like, ah man, I thought this song was done, but it wasn't even
Oh,
close.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I know a lot of, I mean, artists, producers, anybody that's making music has can pretty much relate universally to having made something you thought was good at the time, and then it sits on a hard drive for X amount of time, and then you pull it up one day. Sometimes you find gems in there, and you're like, oh shit, that was a cool idea, whatever. But a lot of times it's like, damn, like that might have been cool, but it don't sound good. Like, or what the hell was I thinking that day? Sometimes it's just shit, basically. But you need that to kind of, it's part of the process too of just working through something, just get ideas out. They're not all going to be great too. But also, exactly, sitting on it and just, like I said, having looked back at your own catalog sometimes and seeing like your own growth too, of like, give yourself that chance to grow and learn and get better, get better at your craft. If you're just constantly putting, record, throw it, whatever, run it through Ozone or Lambda or something, put it up and just keep moving. You're not really learning from it. You're not going to get better with it because you're not taking any of that, criticism, or you're not looking, reflecting on yourself.
Yeah, criticism is key. A lot of people cannot take that at all. If somebody was listening right now and they considered themselves a producer slash engineer,
Mm-hmm.
how would you go about telling them which one to focus more on versus keep doing both?
So for me, it came down, and for a lot of people, what it ends up coming down to is two things. It's you and which one you can make a living off of more. So, and sometimes those things are not just one and the same. So it comes down to your personal situation in those, at those times. Do you have, if you're making money, you're selling beats, or you're doing sync things where you're making beats for TV, things like that, where you're getting consistent revenue coming in from making beats, keep doing that. That means like you're mixing your own beats too. That's fine. You're engineer and producer on it, but you're making money off those beats. You're making money as a producer. So I would say go keep on that road. Vice versa, if you're making beats but you're not selling them, you're just doing it as a hobby for fun, whatever, but you're in the studio recording people left and right, and making those beats in your free time, whatever. If, like I said, if engineering, if recording or mixing other people's beats is what's bringing you money and you enjoy it, go down that road. But like I said, for especially in the music industry today, where it's harder and harder to make a living in the music industry, not just make money, make an actual living, it's those two options weighed against each other. Which one do you enjoy more, and which one can you make a legitimate living doing? And if those things are on the same side, that's great. That's you're golden. If not, you can figure out there's ways to kind of still be able to do both. But like I said, I think at the end of the day, if you're doing it, like I said, as a job to make a living, not just as a creative endeavor, then you gotta make sure your bills are covered at the end of the day.
Yeah,
But don't
I
let that
definitely hear that.
slide.
I've never been to a
Yeah,
studio and the engineer, in my opinion, who was the engineer, didn't play his beats. Never been to
exactly.
one. They're always going to do it, which is
Yeah,
cool. But I think sometimes a lot of them don't understand. Like, I'm not really here for that, so I'm probably not really listening.
I was just gonna say, and that's a big thing, is knowing, especially once you get to a studio setting or something, a little bit, you're not just in a bedroom, not that there's anything wrong with that, but when it's a little bit more of a, professional setting, that makes a big difference. Where if you're getting hired as an engineer, you are not there as a producer. They don't want to hear your beats. They don't want to hear, oh, I would have done a different snare here, or oh, that synth is cool, but like I know a better pat. Nah, they want to know what mic we're using and that you're gonna make me sound good, or I can trust you to record me and not fuck up and delete takes by accident, or I can keep the session organized. That's what I'm paying you for. I'm not paying you to beef up my beat. That's not what we're here for. And like I said, vice versa.
No,
You know,
that's a big fact right there. I don't
yeah.
think a lot of it's so many you walk in and it's like, oh, here, check out my beats. And it's like, yo, man, I just want you to record my song, bro. Like, I want you to
Ex-
focus on that. Don't focus on what you're
exactly.
trying to sell me. You already making money from me. Focus on that.
Exactly. Don't double dip basically on the client. That's it's know what you're being hired for. You're there for a reason. Do it for that reason. If it's different story if the artist is asking you, hey man, you happen to an hour, couple, whatever, late in the night, hey man, you happen to work on beats too. Like that's dope. Let me hear some. That's a different situation. But don't insert yourself in. If you're like I said, if you're in the engineering position, you're there as the engineer, and that's you know that line gets blurred a lot. I know a lot of engineers, or hear a lot of stories from other artists coming in that they stopped working with certain engineers or at certain studios for that
And
exact reason.
you start feeling like they trying to nickel and dime you too much. And it's like, all right, bro, I'm here to I got a 2 hour session. I want to maximize my 2 hour session. I don't need you playing
Exactly,
your beats cutting into my 2 hours.
exactly. They're trying to get work done, so help them get that work done. They're not there for you. It's a service, and
You
that's
said you said you've been doing this for 12 years. Did you go to
mhm.
school or did you self-teach yourself?
So a bit of both. So I grew up a musician. Started as like a drummer from age 5, and was just involved in all different kinds of music throughout my whole life growing up. And then when I got out of high school, I went to normal like undergrad college for actually just mechanical engineering, nothing even music related. And I started doing that, and I realized I kind of wish I had done stayed in the music realm. And so over the summers, I started going to a music school that used to be here in New York by the name of Dubspot, which is a electronic music production school. Um, and so I was there for learning production first. Uh, so I was learning to produce music in Ableton at the time. And it was like the last course I took there was mixing and mastering from this incredible Grammy Award winning mix engineer by the name of Ariel Burajau. Um, dope, dope dude. He was my instructor, and I fell in love with it like first day of class, where I was like, oh, this works for me. I like this. This is dope. And so by the end of that, like did the course, finished school, and actually at the end of that, I reached out to him personally and was like, hey, can I shadow you essentially? Like, can I just come and like watch, sit in the studio and watch over your shoulder just so I can keep learning? And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Um, and so I got kind of in that way in terms of just being able to sit in the studio and just watch someone of that higher caliber just work all day. And then after, about a couple of years of doing that and just like working on my own, building out my home studio, all this, then I started as an intern at another recording studio here in New York, and just did that, started running sessions there for about 7 years before I opened up my own spot. But yeah, so it was just, a little bit of school training and then real world experience, then, from there on out.
Based though you walk that path like that, how do
Mm-hmm.
you feel about people who just wake up one day, download a program and call themselves a producer or just happen to download a program and it's like, oh, now I'm an engineer. How do you feel about that?
I used to be a little bit more bitter about it. I think, yeah, I'm like, used to get get to me a little bit more. Like, you didn't put in the time. Like, what, you don't get to call yourself that. Like,
Facts.
but the more I've done it, and at this point, I've kind of, it more comes down to what you're putting out, honestly. So we have no training whatsoever and just happen to download FL, and you're making crazy beats on it that sound incredible. It might not be likely, I might not like it, or I might be envious of it, but yeah, I'm not going to tell you can't call yourself a producer because you're doing the thing. But I tend to think it's very hard to be that person that can just, it's hard, and more likely than not, it ain't going to sound good, or it's not going to sound up to par. And so you can call yourself a producer at that point, but you're labeling yourself you're mislabeling yourself, or kind of shooting yourself in the foot with that, because, well, now I'm looking at you like, well, you're not a great producer, but you're just like, hey, I just downloaded this shit and I'm trying it out. I'm just messing around, seeing if I like it. All right, cool. That's that. But the second you slap producer on it or engineer on it, well, now I'm looking at it from a different perspective. That's more what it comes down to for me. It's just like, if you're gonna call yourself that, then I'm gonna, judge you as if you're a producer.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I got a few buddies of mine, went to different schools, took different classes, and they be saying stuff like music theory and all this other shit. And I'd be like, man, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. But I've listened over the years to the evolution of their production. And some of it's like, oh shit, like, damn, I see you actually learning. Like, coming up, I never would have thought, like, all right, you got to go to school to make a beat. In my mind, it was like, man, you walk in the studio, you fucking press buttons, it sound good, boom, you got a beat. But I didn't realize, the tempo matters, the fucking, I can't think all them 5 terms.
Oh,
That's
no,
but
absolutely.
all of that shit matters, like how it's laid out, like everything, like the drum kit and the guitar has to match versus, oh, these sound good, but when you listening to it, it don't actually sound good. They just go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely. I mean, and a lot of that comes from the, where kind of hip hop in particular comes from, of it being birthed out of sampling, where the music was there, so you were literally fitting pieces together. You weren't adding in as much of your own instrumentation, so you didn't need to necessarily know as much of that, because it was based on a lot more of feel, groove, things like that. But soon as that kind of started getting taken out, and now the producers had to be instrumentalists all of a sudden. You couldn't just take samples from everything. Then all of a sudden it became a lot more, not just important, but beneficial to yourself to start learning those things. Not that you have to, but it makes your life a hell of a lot easier. And it gives you kind of somewhat of a structure to work within. So you kind of allows you to get ideas out a little bit quicker. You know what works with what, you start understanding the relationship between things better. But at the end of the day, I use this example a lot with like music theory and that kind of thing, where like the most technical and like best instrumentalists, so like take the best drummers, saxophone, guitar players, more often than not, they're jazz players. But jazz isn't the most popular thing in the world. It's not, jazz isn't pop music. As some people might not like that, but it's not. And it's because at a certain point you get so technical that it's just to enjoy how technical it is. It's not a vibe. It's not a groove. It's not.
yeah,
You're not
I've had
dancing to it.
somebody play some jazz for me, and I'm like, man, what the fuck is this? And he was like, man, do you hear what he's doing? And I'm like, yeah, that shit just sound crazy, bro. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. So, and that's my point, where it's like, the music theory and all that shit, it gets you so far. But if you keep going down that rabbit hole, you're just doing it for the other people that understand how technical and impressive it is. But you start losing sight of like, does it sound good? It's not just technically impressive. So
That
that I
actually
think
makes
that
a lot of fucking sense.
yeah, you know, just looking at it from that way of like, does it, just because it's impressive doesn't mean it sounds good. But again, what's your end goal? If you're a producer, you're making beats, probably want it to sound good. You want people moving their body to it. You want people, whatever it is, get that reaction from them. And so know enough music theory to get you to be able to do that quickly or efficiently. But at a certain point, you can go, like I said, a little too far down that rabbit hole. Like I said, it's not, it's never necessarily, it's not a bad thing, but it's, yeah, just don't lose sight of what you're making the music for, I guess is the main point.
I hear that. Being as though you produce and engineer, which one do you actually love more?
So at this point, I genuinely love engineering more,
Why is
mixing in
that?
particular. I just think the way my brain works is like super technical, and so like and like puzzles and shit like that, like that's my thing. So to me, a mix is kind of like this puzzle that someone shook up, and all the pieces are there, but now I got to figure out how it all kind of fits together in the right way. And it's just there's something about that. Like I love figuring out that puzzle of all right, cool. You gave me all the pieces. It sounded cool. I have an idea in my head of what it can sound like. Now, how do I move those pieces around to get it to fit that? There's something that just became, like I said, like fun, but really satisfying to me of just getting a record and doing my thing to it, and then hearing it afterwards of like, oh shit, like this is knocking the way I want it to knock. Like, or just hearing records like this is a dope record, as you were saying kind of before, like you hear a lot of shit and you're like, it might be good, but the mix is trash. And so that also too, where I'm like, this song has a ton of potential, but it needs a mix to get it there. And being able to take something that I'm like, it's right there, and then just bring it to that spot is, like I said,
I recently had somebody send me some music for me to listen to, and one of his songs, I told him, I'm like, the song got mad potential, but I'm like, your mix, like, it makes me not want to keep listening. And I know sometimes when people hear that, it's like, man, what the fuck is you talking about? But it's like, sometimes it's those small nuances that somebody else gonna pick. Some people listen just for the beat. Some people just listen for the lyrics. If I'm listening just for the beat and your mix is off, if I'm listening just for your lyrics and your mix is off for your lyrics, like it turns you off and it makes you not want to keep listening.
Exactly. No, and that I think that's a big part of it too. Even what we're saying, like everyone doing every piece, where if you're the producer, engineer, artist, everything, like you start not understanding what that means in terms of like how a mix can make or break a record.
Facts.
Because everything's all intertwined. And it's like, nah, take that step back. Like what you do with the next step is critical to this record. You might have done everything right, produced the shit out of it, rapped the shit out of it, wrote the shit out of it, but if the mix completely falls apart or whatever, then you don't got shit. And so that's a big part of it, and taking your hands off of it. Like everything we've been saying basically gets back to that of, just you gotta be able to separate that out and understand what the mix is doing or a mix can do for your record.
I think a lot of
elevate it.
I'm starting to think a lot of underground artists don't understand how much work goes into mainstream music. So a lot of people feel like I need to flood. But what they don't understand is a mainstream artist may be flooding, but they might flood you with music that they made last year. It's not music that they just made last week. So a lot of artists feel like, oh, I got to keep putting out music. Cool, you can keep putting out music. That means you have to live in the studio. So this music you putting out in January, you probably recorded this song February of last year, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
good enough now to start flooding. You have to build up that catalog. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
artists don't quite understand that. Um, do you
Yeah.
think, do you think like streaming apps and all of that, do you think that destroyed, not destroyed, but like hurt music in a way?
Uh yes, in a way. I mean, it's taken a lot of money out of the music industry, which is probably my biggest gripe, just that artists aren't getting paid the way that they should be. Um, but with streaming in particular, it it made it so that anyone can put a song out,
Hmm.
which is beautiful. But the problem is that it set false expectations for a lot of people.
Yes, yes, yes. Talk to
Is
him.
that you think you see everything, or everything that's out there, and it makes it look easy. Everyone makes it look easy. They they show a song being put out, whatever, one post goes viral, make it look easy. And so anyone can put out that song, anyone can go viral. So everyone all of a sudden is just, all right, cool. What'd that person do? How'd it work? That cool. Let me do exactly what they did. Put out a song, put out a video, and now I'm gonna be famous and be making all this money. And they want that immediately. And that part of it is what I really like. What I'm not fucking with is it's fueled the instant gratification artist, and that's rough. It fuels the people that just don't want to put in the work. They just want to get the fame and recognition, and it's shitty because there have been people that get through that don't put in as much work. But like, to your point, also, you never see what's really going on behind the scenes. It's I used to say this all the time to artists, like, stop saying this person, came out of nowhere or they popped overnight. I'm like, nah, I can guarantee you there's at least 2 years of work leading up to this moment
Exactly.
that you have no idea about. And
Exactly.
it's just, that's not being put on blast because that's not interesting or it's not getting clicks, whatever. But so you just, as the viewer, you think it's all right, cool. Go in the studio, take a few photos, you know, bring a crew with me. We record a song, put it up the next day, and all right, now I'm just gonna sit and wait. And you're better off playing the lottery with that.
Facts. I'm gonna tell you something that I'm mad about. And I feel like you possibly gonna be mad about the same thing, or you possibly are mad about the same thing. I'm mad at these engineers who keep taking these artists' money knowing that they putting out these shitty ass songs. It pisses me the fuck off because it's like, as an engineer, I expect you supposed to have a good ear. You
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be able to say, all right, you know what, bro, this song got potential. Maybe you could do this. Maybe do that. Don't do this. Or you got to be that engineer that's like, listen, bro, this ain't for you. Like, I'm sorry to say it. It is what it is. I got to be honest with you because at the end of the day, if I put out a shitty song and people say, yo, where you recorded that song at?
Mm-hmm.
That's your name at that point.
Oh yeah.
So how do you feel about these fucking scam artist ass engineers or producers that's
Yep.
doing this shit?
It's I it's tough because I agree. And like, as someone who's worked as an engineer for a long time, doing in like hourly studios where that's a lot of the shit that's coming in, where it's just some random person that's coming in to record something and none of it's good. Um, it's tough to be that person that's like, you ain't got it. A lot of the time, I'm usually hoping that there's someone in the room, like that, like one of their boys or something. But I'm like,
Hey,
please.
they not, see, that's the thing. They brought the dudes that's just gonna fucking booty
Exactly.
smooch and be like, oh, this shit is awesome, dude. Like, I need you to make it so
Exactly.
I can get out the hood too, knowing that they fucking horrible.
Yeah, and to that, I will say that's one of the funniest things because it's the people that are already successful or have had success in the industry are the ones that they'll come in and have people around them that'll say no, that'll say, nah, that shit was whack, redo it, because they know they're secure in their in their
Mm-hmm.
art, whereas the other artists we're talking about, they ain't secure. They know deep down that they probably ain't got it, so they surround themselves with people that tell them they do have it, and it just feeds that. But to back to your main question of how I feel about that is that I'm willing to give people a chance, basically, to if you're just starting out or something, like I can judge people on, are they trying to learn, are they trying to grow as an artist, or are they coming in and they're putting that shit down and they think it's the hottest thing ever and they just want to rest on that, and that's when I'm like, it basically comes down to like, I don't want to your point, I don't want to put my name on this. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want you telling people that I worked on this. And it's shitty because it does feel kind of like scamming, because that's like I need to pay, I still need to get paid. It's a paycheck for me. But to your point of like, I don't want my name on it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and some artists don't give a shit. Some I would expect like, hey, if we've worked on it for X amount of hours and all this shit, and at the end of the day, I'm like, hey man, put it out, but don't put my name on any of that shit. Like, that's me telling you, like, I don't fuck with this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not telling you don't put it out, but like, I don't want to be attached to it.
Yeah. Don't tell nobody you recorded that shit here.
Exactly. And so, it's like I said, I would love to be in a position to just say no. Like, I don't want to work on it. And some engineers do. Some engineers and producers, once you get to a certain level, you have a certain, Rolodex of clientele, you're able to say no because you got enough work coming in that you're like, hey, you're trash. I don't want to work with you. But unfortunately, before you get to that point, you gotta know, like I said, when to say no and when to say yes, and don't put my name on it.
Facts. Have you gotten to the point where you want to start building artists, or that's not something you think about?
It was actually something I thought about like right after COVID, basically, just because there were a lot of struggling artists also right after COVID. Not that there are now, but and so it was something I was kind of looking into. Um, and I was actually working with an A&R guide from Miami, and we were starting to kind of look at developing some artists. Um, and for me, it just got to a point where it just wasn't enjoyable for me. But I found that's not really the uh, road I wanted to go down. Like I said, I like being studio rat in here working on shit. Um,
I can
and
understand that.
that that's just a whole different
Back Went back to doing what you love versus just doing a bunch of shit because you can do it.
exactly, like it's a cool road, and like I said, there's a lot of opportunity, and there was some cool stuff that was like popping up with it, but it just wasn't like it's going to take a lot of time essentially, and it wasn't willing time I was willing to give up.
Yeah, and they probably was lazy artists too, so that's another thing.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I will say that was like our game plan from like day one. Also, was just like, we're not working with anyone that we had like a list of criteria basically that we were looking for, like things to check off in terms of like, are you serious about this?
Mhm.
Because
So
it's just
without
yeah.
saying the whole list,
Mhm.
what were at least like two or three of the things that was on that list of things like, all right, if I'm gonna work with somebody, they gotta either be doing this or willing to do this, or what are some of those things y'all look for?
So uh like one of the big ones, and this is a general one, but like willing to invest in yourself and
Oh
really
my
understand
fucking
what that means.
hold on, real quick before you say that, right? I seen a post the other day, this little Facebook group that I'm in, and these people were upset. I guess I don't know for sure if Jay-Z put out this quote or not, but it had his picture on it and it said that he said it. You know how that shit go to internet.
Yeah,
The internet can put anything
exactly.
out. But it said something to the tune of I'm not working with no artist that is what was it? I'm not looking to bring on no artist that don't have motion already. If I bring you on, you already have to have some type of motion. And people was upset. Oh, see, that's that bullshit. He's already rich. So why he looking for people that's rich? And I don't think people understood what that meant. What it
Yeah,
meant was if you're not investing in yourself, why the fuck should I? If you ain't putting in the
exactly,
time, why the fuck should I? You ain't never spent a
exactly,
penny on your music. Why the fuck should I? Like people don't quite
exactly.
get that concept. I'm gonna bring you
Yep.
in. I'm gonna put everything I have into you, and you may be a good rapper, but you lazy with promotion. You lazy when it comes to touring. You might be a shitty ass performer, but I just put all this money into you because you've never done these things. And
Yeah.
even something as small as, and I tell people this all the time, if you've never done a show and you looking to get paid for a show, who the fuck do you think you are?
All the time, all the time. Exactly, and yeah, like exactly what you just said of investing in yourself. It doesn't mean you got to be rich already. It doesn't mean that you got to be spending thousands and thousands of dollars on anything. It's the concept of, are you willing to put in the, not just financial investment, the time investment, the emotional investment to actually do this. Because if you're just looking for that quick gratification, it ain't coming. Or the likelihood of it is so small that if that's what all you're banking on, it ain't the road for you. Because
Facts.
it's gonna be a headache the entire time. You're gonna constantly be upset. We're gonna be constantly annoyed, and it's never gonna work. It's that showing that you're willing, like I said, to invest financially, emotionally, time, everything into your own music. Doesn't have to be a crazy amount or anything, but like I said, it's something people want to see, that you're willing. You're betting on yourself. Why do you want us to bet on you if you're not willing to bet on yourself? And
That's
that's
a
really what it
fact.
comes down to.
That's a
So
big
that's
fucking fact.
so that's the biggest one. And like I said, and then that comes out in different ways, as you said. Are you willing to perform? That's a huge one, especially nowadays, where because social media platforms are so big that people don't think they got to get out on stage and get people. I'm like, having a real following is different than having a social media following. Not to
Big
say that
fact.
it's not valuable. Have a social media following, have a mass one, but it's different than having an in-person following.
Complete difference, especially when it comes to music. Facebook
Very
is not
different.
going to listen to your music. People that
Nope.
you performed in front of, they gonna download your music because they actually hear your music. They feel your music. It's a difference in I just happen to see a 13-second clip of your song. It was like, oh, that was cool, and I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
scrolling. But if I'm at a show and I'm like, damn, this dude going crazy. Oh, this song, this vibe is crazy. That's what's gonna make me say, damn, let me download this joint now. Even if I don't download it now, let me write his name down so I can go listen to his catalog later.
Oh yeah.
That shit
Oh yeah.
matters.
It absolutely does. That also gets into a thing with music that I think a lot of people have lost sight of, which is like that shit's infectious too. Like when you live music is a different experience
Facts.
than just listening to shit on your headphones or whatever on your commute to work, even in club, whatever. It's when you're standing in that crowd listening to an artist, feeling how everyone else is vibing to that music or getting down to it, whatever, or maybe not fucking with it at all, whatever it is, you feel it in a different way, and it connects you to that artist in a different way. And that's a big thing. Like I said, you're much more likely to gain a lifelong fan if they saw you in person
Mm-hmm.
than if they just heard your song for 30 seconds while they were scrolling through Spotify.
Nah, that's
But
definitely a fact.
and it doesn't it doesn't have to be big crowds, whatever. You start small, start somewhere, but getting out in front of people is something that is hugely overlooked. It's also a way to build your own confidence up too. That's
I
another.
heard so many people say, "Oh man, I ain't doing no show if they ain't paying me or they ain't paying me enough." Like somebody
Mhm.
explained to me, like they had only did like 2 or 3 shows, and somebody reached out to them and said, "Hey, I want to put you on this show I got. I got $200 for you." They was offended. $200. I'm not performing for no $200. So I asked that person. I said, "How many streams are you doing every month?" It was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I might be looking at probably, 400 or 500 streams." I said, "So basically they paying you 50 cents for every stream you got this month. You just made it in one day. Now your 400 or 500 streams, if you was lucky, you probably made what, 10 cents? And
Yeah, if
streams
that.
don't pay you shit. So
Yeah.
you just quadruple, you just 100 times over made what you would have made, but you turned
Oh
it
yeah.
down. And instead of going there and being in front of people and creating a buzz for yourself.
Yeah. No, 100%. Because it's ego, whatever you want to call it. It's also a bad understanding of the music industry. Like I was saying, it's you don't understand what how money is moving around in the music industry. Basically, like $200 to get paid for a show when you're, you know, I hate to use the word phrase, but like essentially a nobody.
It's
Like
a
that's
fact.
huge.
That's a
That's
fact.
huge. Like don't turn. That's not. That's a great opportunity. That's not. Like, and that's part of the problem is not looking at these things as opportunities. You're not guaranteed anything in this industry, and so to look at something like that and be like, I'm not getting paid enough. Nah, unless you've already gotten paid, like and it's like anything else. If you've been doing those shows in the
If you
past, is
if
that
you built
normally
your
what you get
way
paid?
up to where you getting
Yeah,
$600 a show, that's one thing. But you've
exactly,
never done a
exactly.
big show and you getting paid $200 just to go perform 3 songs, man, you better get your ass on that stage. The
Yeah, I mean, you know how many people that that do the opposite, where they'll pay
mm-hmm.
$100 to be featured
Uh-huh.
in a showcase event
Uh-huh. And
because
that
they on.
and now they just picked up fucking 15 new listeners out that crowd, 20 new listeners
Yeah,
out that crowd.
yeah, 100%. I mean, like those things, like people look down on, like, oh, there's not many people, there's gonna be what 50 people there or something. Like, doesn't matter. That's
Mhm.
you bring 5 people, everyone of their artists on there, everyone brings their own 5 people. Fine. I guarantee you one person out of every group of 5 is
Mm-hmm.
gonna hear something, some other artist that night that they fuck with all of a sudden.
Yep.
And like you got it's like I said, it gets back to that instant gratification. You gotta build it up over time. It's not gonna be an instant hit. It's
Slow
just
motion is better than no motion.
exactly, exactly. It's just slowly
If
build
you
that
can
stuff up and keep working.
if you can give one piece of advice, and it don't even have to be like the greatest, it ain't got to be something that's going to take somebody from the basement to the top floor. But if you can give one piece of advice to engineer, producer, or both, that's up to you. What would it be?
Stop overthinking shit. Honestly, that's really what it like. And when I say that, I mean it in terms of stop trying to figure out how to game the game. Stop
Mhm.
trying to figure out this the key to success. Just do the thing. Just make the music. Stop sitting around trying, oh, I'm gonna do this, which will get me to here, and then this might have just focus on making the music. Things will start falling into place, but you gotta have the music first. And I think recently, the last couple of years, I've been, at least from my experience, I'm just finding a lot of artists, producers, engineers all across the board where everyone's trying to figure out how to get ahead in this game, and the music is getting lost in that
Mhm.
process.
You too focus on the scheme versus the actual plan.
Exactly. Even like I said at the before, remember why you got into this in the first place. Remember why you love music and what you love about it. Don't let that go because you're trying to figure out the system. Like, keep making the music you love because that's going to fuel you to keep going. Without that, it's just, it makes the road so much harder because you don't have anything keeping you going that you believe in.
And
If
you
you're
ain't got
making that music,
and you ain't got nothing to stand on because the higher you go, the people gonna look for what you did. And if you ain't did shit and what you did wasn't great, you ain't gonna go but so far. It is what it is. It's
exactly.
gonna fall off. Like,
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Whether it's a one-hit wonder or 2 second, you get a TikTok clip that goes viral, cool, but it
mhm.
ain't. None of that has the staying power that it once did, and it's just, like I said, it's not. None of it's sustainable. If you want to be in the music industry and then stay in the music industry, make music. That's it
No,
sounds simple, but that's really what it comes down to. Don't lose sight of the music.
that's definitely a fact. Who is your? We about to get out of here, but I definitely want to know this. Who
Yep.
is your top five producers of all time?
Top five
And they don't
producers
got
of
to be
all
in order.
time.
I know that's what catches people up all the time. Like,
Yep.
they don't got to be in
So
order. Just who's your top five all time?
yeah. So no particular order. Uh, gotta be so Pharrell, Timbaland, Jay Dilla, DJ Premier. I want the last one too. Mm, I'm gonna throw. Damn, got me on this last one. They're all swirling now. I'm gonna go Just Blaze. Funny enough.
Ooh, you never hear people show love to Just Blaze.
Yep, and that I think that's more of a. Uh, I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times. And engineer I mentioned that I kind of came up from Ariel Burjow, him and Just Blaze were partners for a long time. So I had a bit more of a personal experience with him and just getting to kind of know him as well as his catalog and just appreciating his music, what he added to the hip hop basically. So yeah, I'll give him his flowers also on here.
Yeah, listen, I'm not mad at it at all, man. I think Blaze is one of, if nothing else, he's definitely top 10 all time in my personal opinion, if nothing else. So the
Yep.
fact that nobody ever names Blaze is crazy. Wow.
Yeah. I think there's just a lot. There's the big, like I said, the other names that get thrown around that, they're easier to kind of grab for, but, especially also, being in New York, it's just, yeah.
I will say this too. Even on top of that, though, I respect the fact you said Jay Dilla. So I'm tired of people telling me they don't know who Jay Dilla is. And it's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I don't get,
Nah, can't.
especially producers. When I hear producers tell me they don't know who Dilla is, it'd be like, all right, bro. Like,
That,
you can't tell me you over 30 and don't know who Dilla is. Like, I
yeah.
don't get it. Yeah, I
I'm
don't get
like that. Exactly. I'm like, you've been missing out on some piece of the culture that
it.
just, I don't know what, but yeah, that's
If
like,
you if
I
you
mean, that's
like if you
textbook.
early 20s, if you early 20s, mid 20s, somewhere around there, you say you don't know who Dilla is, all right. I can understand. If you
And I'm
over
like, all right.
30, then we got a problem. Like we got a hell of an argument here. Fuck is going
Yeah,
on?
I'm like, if you were alive when Dill was alive, I expect you to know.
Exactly. Especially as a producer. Like, and do your
Yeah,
history as well. Like I find that a lot of people
yeah.
they don't do their history. Like to be great
Hmm.
at something, you got to see what was before you because you want to
Oh
know,
yeah.
like, all right, how can I be better? How can I get better? Where can I start at? If you starting making beats like Dilla, your ceiling is high as fuck.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And
Like,
in that history and learning that where what music has come before you, exactly. It just elevates you from the get go. and gives you such a better understanding of what you're doing. And it's something I will say from my experience also, the you know, like 3/4 of like, celebrity, whatever, top artists that I've met, talked to, almost always like the takeaway I have with them is after we talk is holy shit, like they know so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's eye opening. Like they know their shit. Like they'll sing a verse, they'll reference a verse off the B side of a fucking album from 30 years ago that they play. But they know it like that. Or they know the progression of, oh yeah, this artist was this producer, then they did this. They understand it all, and it goes to show,
By no means would I ever call myself a hip hop guru, but I be in these conversations with people and I be saying shit. They be like, "How the fuck do you know that?" And I'm like, "Dude, like, done my fucking research. Like, I watch all types of documentaries. I watch interviews. I'm the dude I could sit for 8 hours and just watch back-to-back interviews. It's certain interviews. Drink Champs used to be like 4 hours long. I could sit and watch the whole fucking 4 hours, depending on
Oh
who.
yeah.
And people like, how the fuck do you sit and watch an interview for 4 hours? I'm like, dude, you know how much shit I learned in that fucking 4 hours? Like,
all the time. And that's honestly that's a great point in general of just like it's a learn your craft, like that's what it also comes down to, just learning about it, knowing how people work, how they get their shit done, whatever. You learn so much and it can inform you as an artist so well, and it's not in your best. You're hurting yourself by ignoring that side of things.
that's a fact. That's a fact. So we about to get out of here. 3 questions I need you to answer real quick for all the people.
Yep.
Where can they find you? What can they get from you? And what can they expect from you?
All right. So they can find me. I'm at Big Mac Music on Instagram and socials. BIGMAKMUZIK. What they can get from me is, well, content from recording studios, my sessions, things like that. But more importantly, I also offer. I'm always open as an engineer, so they can book me for mixing, mastering, recording sessions, and they can expect a fully professional, like thought out, high quality product by the end of that experience. That I don't half-ass anything. So if you're working with me, if we're working together, you're getting everything from me. So, and that might sound simple, but especially in this world, engineers, things like that, people are not giving you their all. And I promise you that's not the case when it comes to with me. It's just not how I work. If I don't think I can give you my all, I'll let you know from the jump. But if we're working together, I'm making sure that you're happy. We're getting that final product that you want. But that song, that album, whatever it is, it sounds how you want it to sound, that we're going to be proud of it by the end of it, and that you can take it and do whatever you want with it. That's really what it comes down to. I want you to be able to stand on your music proudly. So whatever I can do to help get it there, I'm here.
I think a lot of engineers and producers are so used to dealing with so many bullshit artists that it's just like, do I really give a fuck? I'm just here for the check. It is what the fuck it is. But real quick, we about to go, but I knew it was something I meant to ask you. And you don't got to give me a long drawn out answer. It's up to you. But in your opinion, for the average person out there that might be doing this, or average person that might need this, what would you say would be, in your opinion, the biggest difference between a mix and a master?
So I used to say like simply that mix, like versus master, is mastering is gonna make it louder, but really it's gonna make it translate well, meaning that you won't have the same issues with You play it at home, sounds great. You jump in the car, it sounds like shit all of a sudden. It's gonna help a lot with translation. But touch on what we were talking about earlier, it's also, and this is arguably more important, it's that final quality control. It's that final piece, that final check that master engineer gets their hands on it. And especially if it's a master engineer you have a relationship with, anything, they're gonna let you know if that mix is something's off with it. Or if you send it, if you're hoping I'm feeling about the mix, mastering's gonna take care of it. That's not how that works.
Really?
It's gonna, mastering can only help you so much. Can only do so much. So if you give them a shitty sounding mix, you're gonna get a shitty sounding master. It's not the mastering engineer's fault, and that's also a common misconception. Mastering engineer can only do so much. So it really, like, you gotta be happy with how the record sounds after the mix.
So that initial mix really cements the song. It's not necessarily the mastering that cements the song, it's the actual mix.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're gonna beef it up. They're gonna make it sound better. But like I said, if what you're sending them has problems, there's no way to guarantee that a mastering engineer is gonna be able to fix those problems. Wow. So be happy with that mix. Feel good about that mix before you send it to mastering. Because then I promise you, you're gonna get something back that you're happy with. But if you're expecting mastering to solve your problems, there's a good chance you're going to get that mastering back and feel like you just wasted your money.
Damn, I never thought about it that way at all. And that actually, well, I don't know that side of it. So, but that actually makes a lot of fucking sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. Because again, I've been in studios and I'll see the engineer, like a lot of times, they'll sit in there, they fucking with shit as you actually working, and
you're
like, all right, what the fuck happened there? And they like, all right, I'm changing this, I'm doing this, and they might not even say nothing. They just instantly start working. I think the good engineers do that. They instantly start working because at the end of the day, it got to be done. So now I understand why they doing it that way. Because now you actually, if I'm hearing it in real time versus coming back to it, and I think I remember you sounded like this versus we right here, I could hear you and I could tell you, hey, go re-say that real quick. Hey, say this a little louder, a little lower, or
Yep, absolutely.
I'm not even a rapper no more, and this shit be out a lot. So if you listening and you really serious about your music, y'all might want to listen to what he was saying. Because I picked up on a lot of shit.
Hey, I'm glad.
You dropped a lot of fucking jewels. So I'm hoping that people is listening and they understand it, man, because I can't speak for everybody else. I'm tired of hearing shitty music. I'm kind of over it.
I completely agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And everybody's not a rapper. Everybody's not a podcaster. Everybody's not a chef. Everybody's not a clothing designer. Everybody don't make hats. Everybody can't skate. Everybody's not a NASCAR driver. Like, this is the shit that people got to understand. Just because they did it don't mean it's for you. One thing for certain, two things for sure. The one thing you kept landing on is do it because you love it. If you do something you love, you'll make sure that it's actually good.
Exactly.
Real shit. 100%. Y'all know the vibes. Y'all know the waves. I be your boy RAWASAS. We got my man Jake here from Big Mak Muzik. Make sure y'all go hit him up. Prices shouldn't be too much that's going to knock you in your head. But again, like we said, if you ain't investing in yourself, why the fuck should they?
Exactly.
It is what it is. We out there. Y'all know the vibes. All on the table, baby. Bomb.